for those of you that don't know what I'm alluding to when I keep mentioning the 3 world wars spoken about by Albert Pike, the legendary Freemason and the man that they hold up as a god, I'm going to try to explain this to you as best I can, so hang tight. Albert Pike was born in Boston, Massachusetts in 1809. He grew up to be one of the most controversial and most revered figures in Masonry, if not the most. He was without a doubt one of the most influential. Fundamentalists and Freemasons argue about most aspects surrounding his existence. Both agree that he was the sovereign grand commander of the southern jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite from 1859 to 1891. Here's a picture of him sitting there looking much like Santa Claus. Take note of the medallion around his neck. He was the only Confederate officer to have a statue of him built outside Washington, D.C. And his remains are buried in the crypt of the headquarters of the Scottish Rite Masonry in the house of that very temple. Now, there were letters to Italian dictator Mazzini from Albert Pike, and what it did is it broke down the 3 world wars that they must have in order to implement their new world order. Now, a lot of people say that this is a pure hoax, but I just find it really interesting that these letters laid out basically show everything. The First World War, which started on April 6th, 1917, 100 years ago yesterday. And oddly enough, we just started Tomahawk missiling Syria on the exact same date, the 100th anniversary of the First World War. That should be a clear, concise harbinger of exactly who's running things right now and what their plans are. According to the letter, it said the First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the Tsars in Russia and of making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and German empires will be used to foment this war. And at the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions. Well, this could be a hoax letter, but that sure did happen. The Second World War, as reported in the letters from Albert Pike, said the Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascist and the politicalist Zionists. The war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a foreign state of Israel in Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we need it for the final social cataclysm. Well, this is a map from 1946. This was Palestine right here in the green. In 1947, this was Palestine. From 49 to 67, this was Palestine. And today, this is even smaller right now, but this little green dot in the middle of all of this red is Palestine right now. So it appears that fomenting a Second World War and playing the Jews as the victims has made it so that nobody can question anything that Israel does for fear of being called an anti-Semite, because they always have the Holocaust to fall back upon. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, whether this letter is a hoax or not, it's been around for a long time, and this one applies to what we are seeing today. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on the issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. And this word is missing. I don't know what it means. Shall unleash the nihilist and atheist, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm which, in all of its horror, will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization in the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deitistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the unveiled manifestation of pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. And it doesn't take a rocket science to look around right now and see that Satanism is absolutely everywhere. Everywhere that you look, Satan is being rolled out to the public. Albert Pike has laid out the blueprint that these people are following verbatim. People can still continue to bury their heads in the sand if they want, but this stuff is all around us at all times. The plans for the New World Order are taking shape and are in effect right now.
Simple, crude picture that describes effectively the false left-right paradigm. The Republican Party props up the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party props up the Republican Party. If you had one of the political parties standing on its own, when the wind came along, it would just fall over. When pressure, revolutionary pressure from the population not liking what's going on, or new groups wanting the power structure, which is the main source of revolution, most of it is driven by evil, just like the elite is driven by evil. Very rare to have an altruistic revolution. By itself, a single-party system will fall over. Okay? But if you take the two-party systems and you lean them up against each other, this is basically the arch. Their force going together keeps them together and makes it become a very strong, stable platform on which they can build their hierarchical New World Order system.
The level of anger and stuff that people get, favorite celebrity or their god, essentially. And, this is essentially what people are doing nowadays. They're replacing their old gods with new gods, right? It's celebrities. It's these people. And that's why whenever elections come around, they trot them out to push a certain message or say a certain thing, because they know there's a bunch of idiots like that are waiting outside 15 hours to see another human being, right? Just to see them. I want to be in their vicinity, breathe the same air, right? I understand you love their movies and they changed your life and they had a huge impact on you. Like, celebrities nowadays in that are being used just to get our minds off of real issues, to hey, focus on this, get mad about this. So if there's a consensus of celebrities that believe a certain thing, you should probably believe the opposite, right? That's a safe bet. Whatever they believe in consensus, and a lot of them believe it, then you should probably believe the opposite. And they're using our love of celebrities, our love of these idols to manipulate us. Instead of people spend all their time focusing on this, and then they trust their governments to make good decisions for them, to take care of them. Like, oh, I voted for you. so you could take care of that, so I can go back and watch the Kim Kardashian show or whatever, Taylor Swift. But it's like, this is how you get your rights taken away from you. This is how your society will eventually collapse.
President Donald Trump is over in Israel and then over in the Vatican meeting with the satanic Pope, or as I call him, the satanic poop. If you think that's a coincidence, then maybe you need to start slapping yourself in the face to wake up to the reality of what is going on. But what I thought was really fascinating about Donald Trump's meeting with the Pope, for starters, was the outfits that were being worn by his wife and his daughter, who looked like they just came from either a black mass, wink wink, or a funeral.
And we're asking the question, is Donald Trump truly anti-establishment?
Donald supported the invasion of Iraq.
Wrong.
That is absolutely
Wrong.
proved over and over again.
Wrong.
Donald Trump likes to say he never supported the Iraq War, but he was not so strong against the war.
So you for invading Iraq?
Yeah, I guess so. I wish it was. I wish the first time it was done correctly.
There's of Mexico, Vicente Fox. He said today, and I'm quoting him. He said, "I'm not going to pay for that quote effing wall." So if you don't get an actual check from the Mexican government for $8 or $10 or $12 billion, whatever it will cost, how are you going to make them pay for the wall?
I will, and the wall just got 10 feet taller. Believe me.
Who will build the wall and how will it be made?
I will build the wall, and Mexico is going to pay for it.
Don't want to be famous, it's all an illusion. Don't want to be part of a group or follow a move. Stench, what's clean money? You either dirt poor or filthy rich. So don't ask about wars, we can't afford to be in the flake out water. I can't be bothered with a North Korean. That's like giving up your rights to assure your freedom of deporting people that were here before the Europeans. Like supposing to sin, through imminent laws and closing his